like, I would have to go on student debt, and I just dropped out because I wasn't sure, and then I didn't have a plan, so I was like, let's just go to America, it's kind of cheap going as an au pair. So I got here, and I liked it so much that the people I lived with, this was kind of networking, because they offered that I could stay with them. So I went back to South Africa, got a student visa, and I came back, and they're covering my living expenses. So that my motivation was that it will look really good on a resume that you studied abroad, you speak English fluently, and it's just America has great opportunities. So that was my motivation.
An international student, and my name is Anne Sophie, and I'm from Ivory Coast, West
Africa.
I was also motivated to come in the US because I want to have a better life in the future, a better job, better chances. And as an explorer, F1 students are really excited to come in the US. And we need to come here legally. And to come here legally, you need to go through many paperwork. So you need to have a valid passport, a sponsor, anyone can sponsor you, and that people have to prove that he can or she can afford the tuition fees and the living expenses. So to be eligible to get the F1 visa is really difficult. You need to go through one-person interview, and when you don't speak English, you're in your country and you talk to someone from the embassy. It's really difficult. You have to do it and to go beyond it.
My name is Sutem. I'm from Thailand. I hope you're fine. My English is not my first language, so I will have accent and grammar error. Or talk about that. So my first barrier, language barrier for me, is very difficult for me. When I first moved here, I would stay in my house like all day, like for 6 months, because I was so scared. I was so scared to talk to people because I'm scared that they're gonna not understand my English. So I will never learn. When I go to school, I will never speak with my friend first because I was like scared of like if they can understand like what I'm trying to say or not. But that is like very difficult for me and for a foreign student.
Hello guys, my name is Alexis and I am from Guadalajara, Mexico. One of the greatest challenges that international students must face when deciding to study here in the United States is the immense disadvantage when it comes to financial aid. I remember 2 years ago, I went into my guidance counselor's office, sat down, started filling out the application to college, was very excited to do so. And then she stopped, looked at me, and asked, and said, "There's a problem with your application." I said, "What is it?" She told me, "Where's your social security number?" And I said, "I don't have one." She says, "You don't have one?" I said, "No." She says, "There's a problem with that." I said, "What is it?" I mean, she told me that instead of paying $3,000 a semester, now I would have to pay $9,000. And I said, "Well, my grades are pretty good and I'm involved in soccer, maybe that can help me out." She says, "You are not eligible for federal financial aid or state, nor any federal grants, or even a loan, nor a work study." So I was devastated, couldn't figure out what to do, and I thought the best for me was to just go back. And going back to our theme of boundaries and barriers, and what motivates people to transcend perceived frontiers, I think the reason is it's not exclusive to international students, but it's a shared dream that we all have, and is to pursue our dream and achieve something better for ourselves, for our society, for our future. And we are very grateful to be part of a society that does not differentiate based on nation of origin, color, race, ethnicity, etc. And we are very grateful to be part of this organization, because when everybody else said no, Pi Theta Kappa said yes.
Unfortunately, we won't be able to get through everything because we're going to run like 20 minutes over. So we worked on the 9 borders and boundaries. Our original sources were primary sources, the international students among us. I hope you're ready for the rest of crossing the borders and eliminating the boundaries.
Good evening, everyone. Real quick, does anybody know how many international students are there? How much money they bring in? Well, there's actually a lot. So there's 675,000 F1 visa holders, and they bring about $12 billion each year, and that's just including tuition, which means housing expenses, the money that they spend to eat, clothes, none of that's included there. And also just wanted to point out, pre and post 9/11, before 9/11, the situation for international students to come was much easier. Afterwards, because of what occurred, it's much harder for students to try to come to the U.S. and obtain an education. And just to say a little bit about that, the international students are our global educational ambassadors. They're becoming leaders, and they're going back to their countries and sharing all that, the education with everybody else. And it doesn't cost the U.S. anything. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win. It's a win-win. Win-win.
As you can see, that's a real big number. $12 billion. So what we're doing is we're bringing intellectuals here from other countries, but we need to keep them here because the rest of the world's economy is booming, while our economy is, as you can tell, it's pretty tanky right now. So yes, an individual can cross the border, but we need to eliminate the boundaries.
As you can see, the difference, we chose universities from all the 5 states, and the biggest one that we got, which was 309%, was from the University of Maryland.
When we were brainstorming, we realized that there were 2 problems with this situation. And one was that as American students, we need to be more receptive and open-minded of the international students. And also that the international students need to keep an open mind here so that they can try to adapt to the culture. So one of the ideas that we came up with was to have student ambassadors, and we would kind of have a tag team. For an international student, we would have an American student who would help them adapt to the culture, and would also have an international student work with them who has already been here, and that it would be mandatory for them to work with them for at least one semester to help them get adapted to the situations and to help them be able to be successful with their education.
Hello. I like what these things do to my voice, I'm sorry. So the next thing, we have workshops for parents. So the normal stuff like college vision orientation stuff that would just be translated so that they can disseminate that information themselves. And the same thing with C4, like just C4 for international students specifically, to kind of just push that drive to graduate and complete continually and still involve them.
So then that brings our honors to the action portion. So what we would do is have the International Student Mentor Program. And what that would do is after one semester, it would allow an international student to work with other students so that they could have support that they need. Why is this important? It's important because in the transition, there needs to be some awareness around the cultural differences that we have in transitioning in this country. Also, there's other challenges that they have, from financial, emotional, even finding proper housing. So it's really important that they have the support that they need. So the action portion would be to have this international student mentorship. Thank you. So we're going to open up to questions. One question. Anyone? Mr. Glick.
Hey, I don't know how sensitive this is, what maybe just some experience, but I'm more curious. Is there the same disparage in the prices for tuition for international students as private colleges as state colleges?
I can answer that question because my sister is going to Howard University in DC, and in private school, the tuition fees are not different for in-state or out-state students. But I think it depends on the school. But most of the time, it doesn't. It's not different. But you cannot, as an international student, you cannot have financial aid. You're not eligible to get financial aid or to work out of the campus.
I can add to that, there's also not that many scholarships available for international students as for American students.
And then one difference is with the private institutions, they do have larger endowments for students that are international students. So that's one main difference, where there is more monies for them at those institutions. Thank you.
Very nicely done.